I can see how excited everybody is about the prospect of jumping me for Adrian Belew and Evan Nauer. When I first met King Crimson, he was on tour with the League of Gentlemen. And I asked him if there wasn't a contradiction. The reason I'm bringing this up isn't because of my stupid question or because of his reaction, although maybe I'll explain those two things. It's because of the principle and the theory that a person can ask a question that they don't even understand. Because the reaction I got from him, while well off base, showed that he didn't understand the person asking the question very well either. So a misunderstanding leads to what Gurdjieff called wiseacring, the exchange of stuff back and forth between intelligent people who don't know what they're saying. And the reason I bring this up is because there's always a possibility that somebody in Pittsburgh doesn't understand how ridiculous and psychotic and cruel they have been to me. There's a possibility that they don't understand what they're doing, that they're not doing this deliberately, that they're just. And if you think the reason I use this example of myself and Robert Fripp, because nobody really classifies Fripp as a fool, and I'm not sure how many people classify me as a fool anymore. But they always did. Maybe it's possible to understand that a fool might not understand his own question, but it would be possible for a genius to misunderstand the person who was questioning him. Seems you're thinking that I should have to prove this. Well, that's easy since it's true. I had said, I'll have to do this with one hearing aid. I had said, isn't there a contradiction? He said, contradiction, how so? You're making all this money while promoting small is beautiful. And he said, are you suggesting I don't deserve to be paid for what I'm doing? Here's the contradiction of just a human being. I resent very much being treated like anything else. My mother said, well, you really got told. Well, clearly, if he had understood me, he would realize I just didn't understand what kind of question I was asking. Because I was giving Robert Fripp the keys to this city. I thought so highly of him. So I just didn't know. I was just stupid. I didn't understand anything about economics. I was living in my mother's goodwill in those days. So I'm sure it's very frustrating to be given a stupid question, but he didn't understand me very well, judging from his answer. So what does that have to do with you? Maybe you don't know what you're talking about when you think so high and mighty of yourselves about what you now. Adrian Belew turned right to the people who were tormenting me and said with Cynthia Lano, they must have wanted, they must have had a good reason for doing this. And that became their doctrine. Well, in Pittsburgh, they have something they call tuning somebody up. And they were all piling on. Ralph Proctor was making tapes, WQED, and pigeonhole me as the white, contradicting the black man. What black man? Well, there was a man named Lee Goodkind. That's who the Indian woman worked for. Goodkind is the good kind of black man. Why can't, like Robert E. Lee's good kind of black man, why can't you be more like him? They didn't mean Martin Luther King. They meant drone warriors like Obama. Now, the contradiction that you all spread about me is they say I didn't heal correctly. Wheeler goes, they say he was jealous and possessive, and they denied I had a childhood war injury from the Zionists, from Saul Brecker and Willie Wattenmaker had poisoned me. You know, they have Edward Bernays used to say that media was an attempt to poison, to manipulate behavior without the person knowing that they were being manipulated, which explains my defense of Mackenzie Shirilla, too. They used neurohypnotics on her as well. So the jealousy was manipulated by a neurohypnotic chemical. You can see it now. Who would have believed it? Only the people who knew would have believed it. But it's the truth about Mackenzie, too. So what are they espousing? Not healing correctly. Oh, he's a jealous possessive, to promote people, the good kind, who would never touch another man's wife. Which is it? Is it that you don't heal correctly, or that you don't ever touch another man's girlfriend? And the women are the instigators of this stuff. That's the thing that really galls me. Like the India girl didn't tell me she was married. She said she had a roommate. She wanted to have a one night stand. So this is, Pittsburgh's Church of the Pittsburgh Steelers was up to super voyeurism because of the genocide pornography ring of Crook Agri Gooster Corona in New York. If that's not true, they bombed mourners. They shot a journalist and a mourner in Palestine. They bomb mourners in Iran. Iran has a lot of good things going for them. And we talk about, oh, they beat a woman. Well, we shoot up schools. When did they ever do that in Iran? And we all have to reform a little bit. It has to be done. We're all fragile. We all need to be handled with care. When's America going to adopt this psychology of foreign policy based on the idea that we want others to have what's good as well as ourselves? China seems to be the only people. That's why we hate them, because they're better than us. So what's going on in Gaza, by the way? Mackenzie Shirella was the harbinger of Gaza. She was implicated in research are the same Zionist neurohypnographers. Ed Bernays' foreign policy, public relations policy, was guided by the idea that media can manipulate people without them even knowing it. So, what was going on? Well, the way it looks to me is the doctrine of massive retaliation has been around for a very, very long time. At least the 70s. I heard about it when I was 16, 17 years old, in 1976 or so. When I first heard about the Derrick account, I heard about the doctrine of massive retaliation. So anybody could have known if Hamas flies in, no matter how romantic their gizmo, they're going to get Gaza destroyed. So they must have intended it. Now, Biden's theory is that it was sabotage of Saudi Arabia. They get some Arab Jews doubly quick on that one, too. But they're playing fast and loose with the arrangements. Egypt, Gaza, Hamas broadcast it a week before they did it. Egypt called Netanyahu on October 5th and told him it was coming. Netanyahu delayed the rescue and moved the supernova rave into place. What does that tell you? That tells you the supernova rave was expendable to everybody. Hamas just went in, oh my goodness, look at all these kids, started blasting. That was the metaphor for the AIDS attack. And if that's not true, why would they make it out that adding insult to injury by assassinating an Iranian general and then bombing the mourners wasn't, that torturing me wasn't adding insult to injury to the murder of John Lennon? We're not that different when it comes to America and England. Well, they had this pussy ball struggle going over Maduro Goto, and John Lennon was operating behind the scenes. So contradict myself very well. I contradict myself. Queer ball was the message from McCartney. So let's get back to what happened at Gaza. Everybody wanted to get rid of they set up a little beehive tomb for the ravers. And when you look at the connections, we had the Abraham Accords going with the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia really was weirded out by the um, expulsion of Mubarak by Arab Spring. They didn't want to see Arab Spring again. So they said Gaza is expendable. It's Trump politics with Biden's decoytery at work. It's in other words, it wasn't a battle; it was statecraft. Yes, statecraft. These are the new arrangements. The big whalers: Saudi Arabia, crank; United Arab Emirates, crank; Abraham Accords, crank; and the little ones, get the hell out of here. We have no space for this taking care of the poor stuff. And if that you say, oh, that can't be related to the books in the clubhouse getting disappearing, or Schulman's thievery at the Carnegie, or Shivitti and Shirilla. But you should keep in mind that Jack Ruby and Charles Manson had the same psychiatrist, and that I gave King Crimson's home address to Steve Sciuli before you jump to conclusions that I'm wrong.